Joe Hopkins here, and like it says, you should record yourself. And I'll tell you why, but first you need to understand something that people get wrong a lot. To record yourself as a musician, whatever instrument you play, you don't have to be great at it. You don't have to be a great musician. You don't have to know what you're doing. You don't have to be a producer or really understand how music's put together. You don't need to start out with any of that. Nobody is good at this when they start. Understand that, man. I wasn't. Nobody is. The greatest producers and sound engineers in the world didn't know what they were doing when they first started. You learn as you go. But why should you record yourself, right? Keep in mind, you don't have to write songs to record yourself. You can record whatever your songs you like. Whatever your favorite songs are, you can learn them and record yourself playing them. And if you do write songs, they don't have to be good songs. And I'll tell you why. First off, recording yourself, even if you're not planning on releasing this to the general public, it doesn't matter for the reasons I'm going to give you. And we're not talking about recording the next top 40 hit or some heavy metal masterpiece or some great song that will be remembered through the ages. The first reason you should record yourself is, as a musician, it will make you a better musician. This is why it doesn't matter if this is to be released. The main thing, initially, you will become a better musician from this. This is something I learned when I first started recording. I thought I had pretty good timing, and it turns out I did for playing with a band, for playing on stage. And when you go into the studio with a click track or a beat track and you have to stay on the rhythm and record separate parts, and you don't have that back and forth give and take with the other musicians, it's a totally different thing. I had to really focus on what I was doing differently than I did when I played with other people. More than just timing, though, you really hear yourself. When you're playing, you think you're hearing yourself, and you are, but not the same as when you record it and hear it played back. Nothing brings out all of the faults, flaws, and places where you're falling short like recording yourself and listening to it back. And that sounds pretty harsh. Like, man, do I really want that kind of feedback? Yeah, you do, because now you know where to improve, what to work on, and it might not be what you thought it was. You might find you're falling short in ways that you didn't suspect you were. It's the unexpected. Oh, I need to work on my timing. I need to work on maybe my rhythm, my speed, how I'm going about this. It makes you better because now you know what to work on. And not just as a musician, but as a singer too. You really hear where you're falling short, where you might not hear it when you're doing it. That is the quickest way to get better as a musician, is to record yourself. And hey, I learned that really quick when we started recording. I found all the places I was falling short, and it was pretty hard to take, but I improved, right? And you just keep working on it until you're getting it right, and then you're a better musician. Another reason you should record yourself. This is a really good one, and once again, it falls into you don't have to be great at this. It's fun. It really is fun, and you also get this sense of accomplishment when you do practice it and try it over and over again. When you get it right, and it sounds really good, it's fun. It feels good. And if you do produce something that's worth sharing with people, it's enjoyable, especially if you have people that in your life that are rather positive and supportive, that that like what you're doing. You don't want to share it with a bunch of lame-os that'll tell you suck, right? Of course, if you do suck, it helps to have a little bit of constructive criticism, but it does there's a sense of accomplishment. I actually did something. I produced something that I can now listen to, and it is fun recording. It's a lot of fun, and it can be a lot of fun learning the process. Excuse me. And it doesn't really matter which equipment you're using, what DAW you're using. You can see back here, I record on PreSonus Studio One. I have a PreSonus interface right here. I bought a kit years and years ago. It comes with the interface, the recording software, microphone, headphones, like all the stuff you need to get started. And it was only a couple $100. If you want to buy it piecemeal, buy an interface here and a microphone there, you can do that too. But there are a lot of kits that you can buy. I like PreSonus personally, but that's just what I'm used to. It doesn't really matter what you record with, as long as you're enjoying yourself. And it's not at all expensive. And it is fun. It's a rather inexpensive hobby that can be a lot of fun and could lead to something more. You could end up writing a good song. You could end up going into other things once you know how to record stuff. And that happened to me. I've gotten to do a lot of fun, rather cool things over the years because I got this equipment, right? This was my wife's idea. She wrote songs. She wanted to record them. She wanted to put out albums. So we did that. And as I learned the recording process, she started getting into other things, hosting a radio program. And I could produce a radio program, right? If I can produce music, I can produce spoken word stuff. And that was a lot of fun. And she's gone on to other things, also like YouTube, like I'm doing right now with YouTube. That started with this, because as you can see, I'm recording myself on this software. You just add this sound, file, add your, sound thing to your video on a video editing software, and there you go. You have YouTube videos, right? So, it can lead to other cool, fun stuff. It's worth learning. But yeah, I think the main two reasons to record yourself is it will make you a better musician, and it is fun. It is a lot of fun, and there's a lot to learn. You never stop learning this process. Every time you think, okay, I really got this down, you find something more. It also teaches you how to put music together. Once you start really getting into recording and you start adding more things, you really start learning how music is put together. And you don't have to be great at all of the instruments. Most of you guys out there watching this, most of the people watch my videos are guitarists, right? Like, I'm a guitarist. So I'll tell you, when I first started recording with my wife, obviously we're going to start with guitar tracks. How do you put in the other instruments, right? You want drums, you want bass, you want keyboards, all this kind of stuff. And it's not as hard as you would think. We've mostly used, for percussion, we've used MIDI drums, which these days there are a lot of drum programs that sound really good, really convincing. You can use loops. You can use any of that kind of stuff. Record your guitar pieces. Underneath this, I have a keyboard, right? I actually spent a couple bucks on a decent MIDI keyboard, but we started out with a used Radio Shack 61 key keyboard that we got. My wife picked up at the Goodwill for 20 bucks, right? The AC adapter didn't work, so you had to run on batteries, but it worked. And it doesn't matter if your equipment is cheap when it comes to digital stuff like that, because this software, and you can get plenty of softwares out there, some of them free even, that sound really good. So now your cheap keyboard, your $20 keyboard, sounds like anything you want it to sound like. It sounds like a grand piano. It sounds like, a Hammond organ. Whatever you want it to sound like on the computer, that's what it sounds like. You just need something to do the inputs. Or if you don't even have a keyboard, MIDI programs allow you to program it, to put the little dots and stuff in there and create it even without a keyboard. I do that with drums a lot. I don't have room in my space here to set up drums, not even like an electronic drum set. And I'm not the greatest drummer in the world. I'm passable, but I haven't done it in a long time. I'd be willing to bet I'm rusty as hell at it now. But mostly I just program it. I go into the thing and I put the little MIDI dots where they go and make the beat I want to have there. And, you know, I know what I want it to sound like in my head, and I can make it sound like it that way. So you don't need to spend a lot on instruments. And as far as bass goes, you can use synth bass or you can buy a bass. If you're a guitarist, you can play bass. It's not terribly hard. That's what I did. I bought a $200 Squire J bass and just started recording with it. You know, at first, when you first start the bass, you hit a lot of root notes. You know, it's something. You don't have to be great at any of this. But like I was saying, you learn how music is put together. You start putting those tracks together, guitar, bass, drums, keyboard. You start putting them together and see how they work, and then you're mixing, working with levels. It really gives you an idea of how music is put together. You start appreciating music much more when you're working with it. You listen to your old albums and you start hearing things you didn't hear before, because now that you're doing it as well, you kind of notice, oh, hey, I really like how they had that in the mix kind of down low, or I kind of like how they put the vocals on either side like that. You notice things more. It makes a lot of those albums a lot more fun, and you'll find you start appreciating music that you didn't necessarily appreciate before. And for different reasons, right? You might be a heavy metal guy, you might be a hard rock guy, but you start listening to the country station and noticing, you know, I'm not really into country music, I'm not big on these songs, but man, the production is really good. I like how they put it together. And you start really listening for that because you want to apply it to what you're doing. So, I mean, you know, yeah, it does make you appreciate music more. You start hearing the different parts that are added to things, and it gives you ideas, and you want to go in the studio. Hey, I really like the way that rhythm sounds in a particular way. I wonder what I could do with that. I really like the way they did, you know, doubled the vocals in this particular song. I think I might try that, or, you know, and you'll find when you go to do, you know, to copy other people's stuff, we all do. You hear it and you're like, I want to try that. When you go to do it, you're not going to end up just like what you heard, right? But it's going to sound like you. It's going to be a little bit different, and you're going to hear it and go, wow, that's pretty cool. And I'll tell you one more reason to record yourself, right? When you start actually getting into this, you might find something that I found, and also that my wife found. You start finding that, hey, the music I want to listen to, that I want to hear, that other people aren't making, I can make that now. I record a lot of the songs, well, mostly the songs I record are songs I want to listen to. I could say, honestly, and this isn't an ego thing, I'm one of my favorite artists. And that's not because I'm so great, but it's because I'm making music specifically for me. And that's one of the nice things about recording yourself. If you're a professional musician and you go into studios and you make music, you are making music for a wider public in general. If you want to be popular, you're making music for the wider public in general. But if you're doing it just for you, you get to make music that you want to listen to, because it's made with you in mind, you as the audience. And that's really, really cool. It's really fun to record a song that you love, that you want to listen to just for you. It's also frustrating sometimes when you fall short in areas that you really don't want to fall short in. Like maybe you're not the best singer in the world and you record it and you're like, oh, now it's a little disappointing. I really like the song. I made it for me. But man, if you have friends that are better than you at certain things, you can bring them in, and that could be fun too. You get to hang out with your buddies. You get to work together on something, a collaborative effort, and then maybe you can get exactly or somewhat close to what you want to hear in your head. But no matter how you shake it, making music for you is it's very satisfying, more than you might imagine. So yeah, record yourself, become a better musician, learn to appreciate music better, learn more about music, have fun, and make music you want to hear. I can't stress that enough. That's the coolest thing in the world. When you make music, it's like, I'm my favorite artist. I really like this. It's not hard to be your favorite artist. Consider you know what you want to hear. Like I said, not an ego thing. I just know what I like. And that's all there is to it, right? So there you go. You guys out there, get to recording stuff. And I don't know, put a link in the comments down below, man, if you record yourself. Some of you guys have done that before, shared stuff with me, and it's really cool stuff. And Ken Vorland, if you're watching, man, I dig your style, man. I dig a lot of that, you know, that classical type stuff, and you can shred, dude. Yeah, there you go. Just wanted to put that out there, a little shout out. And I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? I love y'all. Peace out, baby. Bye-bye.